What if I told you that your body has a literal physical off switch for anxiety, but it's buried so deep inside your core that most people never access it? For years, we've treated trauma and chronic stress as purely mental issues, problems to be solved by talking or medication. But new research into somatic therapy suggests that your nervous system might be holding on to 20 years of fight or flight signals in a single specific muscle group. It's called the psoas. Ancient traditions called it the muscle of the soul, but modern science is starting to view it as a biological hard drive for trauma. Today, we are going to explore the mechanism of fascial trauma storage, and I'm going to show you the specific, supported release, sometimes called the ancient stretch, that triggers neurogenic tremors to finally discharge that stored energy. If you have ever felt tight in your hips after a stressful day, or felt a pit in your stomach when you receive bad news, you have already felt the psoas muscle reacting to your environment. But here is the problem. In our modern world, that reaction often gets stuck. We are told that anxiety is all in your head. However, biomechanically, anxiety is a physical state. It is a sympathetic nervous system activation. When you experience a threat, whether it's a car accident or just a stressful email from your boss, your body prepares to fight or flee. But if you don't physically fight or run, that mobilization energy has nowhere to go. It gets trapped. In this video, we are going deep into the anatomy of emotion. We will look at why the psoas is unique among all muscles in the body, how the connective tissue known as fascia creates a memory of past pain, and finally, we will look at the phenomenon of the shake. This is the body's natural evolutionary mechanism to reset the nervous system, which we have culturally suppressed. By the end of this video, you will understand how to bypass the conscious mind and access that somatic release. The anatomy of survival, the psoas. To understand why this release works, we first have to understand what the psoas actually is. Most people think of it just as a hip flexor, the muscle that lifts your leg to walk or climb stairs. While that is its mechanical function, its neurological function is much more profound. The psoas is the only muscle in the human body that connects your upper body to your lower body. It attaches to the vertebrae of your lumbar spine, passes through the pelvis, and attaches to the top of your thigh bone. But crucially, it shares a connective tissue attachment point with the diaphragm, your primary breathing muscle. This connection is vital. It is the physical link between your breath and your legs. This is the core of the reptilian brain, or survival response. The moment your brain perceives danger, before you even have a conscious thought, your diaphragm contracts to hold breath, and your psoas contracts to pull you into a fetal position to protect your vital organs. This is the start of the flight response. In the wild, a gazelle sees a lion. The psoas contracts, the gazelle runs, the energy is used. In modern life, you get a stressful notification on your phone. Your psoas contracts, your breath shortens, but you sit still. You don't run, you don't fight. You sit in traffic or at your desk. Because you never discharge that energy, the psoas remains in a state of low-grade chronic contraction. Over years or decades, this shortens the muscle. But it does more than just cause back pain. Because of its link to the sympathetic nervous system, a tight psoas sends a constant feedback signal to the brain saying, "We are in danger." It creates a loop. You are anxious because you are tight, and you are tight because you are anxious. To break the loop, we have to look at what is wrapping the muscle, the fascia. Fascia, the body's hard drive. For a long time, medical science ignored fascia, viewing it just as packing material for the organs. We now know that fascia is a sensory organ, arguably the largest sensory organ in the body. It is richer in sensory nerve endings than the muscles themselves. When we talk about issues in the tissues, we are talking about fascial densification. When a muscle like the psoas is chronically contracted due to stress, the fascia surrounding it begins to dehydrate and thicken. It turns from a fluid, gliding suit into a stiff, hardened cast. This is where the concept of fascial trauma storage comes in. Somatic and myofascial approaches propose that this thickened fascia essentially traps the kinetic energy of the fight or flight response. It's like a spring that has been compressed and locked down with glue. This is why talk therapy sometimes hits a wall. You can cognitively understand your trauma. You can rationalize that you are safe. But if your fascia is clamping down on your psoas, your body is screaming that you are under threat. The software, your mind, is updated, but the hardware, your body, is running an old program. To fix this, we can't just stretch the psoas in the traditional sense. Aggressive stretching often triggers the stretch reflex, causing the muscle to fight back and tighten up to prevent injury. To access the trauma stored in the fascia, we need a different approach. We need fascial unwinding. This requires safety, time, and passivity. We have to convince the nervous system that it is safe enough to let go of the armor it has been wearing for 20 years. And when it finally does let go, something strange happens. The body begins to shake. The shake, neurogenic tremors. This is the part that often freaks people up, but it is the most natural thing in the world. It's called neurogenic tremors. If you watch a nature documentary, you'll see that after an animal escapes a predator, it doesn't just go back to grazing immediately. It finds a safe spot and it shakes. It trembles violently for a minute or two. This isn't a seizure, it is a discharge. The animal is literally shaking off the excess adrenaline and cortisol. It is completing the stress cycle. Once the shake is done, the animal returns to a state of regulation, homeostasis. Humans have this same mechanism. It is built into our biology. However, our higher brain, the ego, suppresses it. We are taught that shaking is a sign of weakness, fear, or loss of control. So when we go through trauma, we stiffen up. We suppress the tremor. We bottle that high voltage energy right into the psoas and its fascia. The ancient stretch, or protocol we are discussing, is designed to bypass the ego and invite these tremors back. It is a biological reset button. Research into these tremors, often associated with TRE, trauma-releasing exercises, or spontaneous somatic release, shows that this shaking originates in the central nervous system. It's not a muscular workout. It is the nervous system shifting gears. When these tremors are activated in a safe, controlled environment, they facilitate a shift from sympathetic arousal, fight/flight, to parasympathetic restoration, rest/digest. It is the trauma off switch. Many people report feelings of intense emotional release, crying, or simply a profound sense of lightness afterwards. It's the body finally putting down the heavy baggage it has been carrying. The protocol, the supported release. So, how do we access this? We don't do it by force. We do it through a deep, supported release often found in yin yoga or somatic traditions. The most accessible version is the constructive rest position. You lie on your back, knees bent, feet on the floor wider than your hips, and let your knees knock together. Or, you can place your lower legs up on a chair so your hips are at a 90-degree angle. The key here is passivity. You are not pushing. You are letting gravity do the work. You are placing the psoas in a position where it is slightly lengthened but completely supported. You must stay here for time, usually 5 to 15 minutes. Why so long? Because it takes about 2 to 5 minutes just for the stretch reflex to turn off. After that, you are communicating with the fascia. As you lie there, you might feel heat, tingling, or a subtle vibration in your legs or hips. This is the beginning of the unwinding. If the tremors start, let them. It might be a small twitch, or your pelvis might rock. This is the trauma switch, flipping to off. You are safe. If it becomes too intense, you simply straighten your legs to stop it. You are always in control. This practice uses the vagus nerve to signal safety, allowing the psoas to soften and the stored energy to discharge. The psoas is more than a muscle. It is the guardian of your emotional center. For years, it may have been holding on to stress to protect you, but you don't need that protection anymore. By using these supported passive holds and allowing the body to tremor, you aren't just stretching a hip flexor. You are telling your nervous system that the war is over. This is a powerful tool, but listen to your body. Start slowly. If you have a history of severe trauma, it is always best to do this work with a somatic therapist. If you found this exploration of anatomy and emotion helpful, please hit the like button. It helps us get this information to people who are living in chronic pain. And subscribe for more deep dives into human physiology and mental performance. I'm curious, have you ever experienced these shakes after a stressful event or a workout? Let me know in the comments below.